Hello guys, it's Weeboo here, you can call me Weebs. I want to introduce you to the second episode of my Weeboo Deathmatch series, between Shiro from Dead Man Wonderland and Lucy from Elfen Lied. Let's get into this. So before getting into the actual battle analysis and whatnot, let's kind of explain what Weeboo Deathmatch is. Weeboo Deathmatch is me taking two anime characters and seeing who is the better fighter overall. Sometimes this can be teams, and sometimes it actually may be a handicap, but the handicap thing is a little bit rare. I'm looking who can win a majority of fights as opposed to one fight. Characters usually will have a means of defeating one another because I don't want to have complete blowout scenarios where one character will just dominate another one. It's not fun, it's not fair, and it's kind of pointless. What I'll be looking into for the characters will be core factors that would be strength, speed, and intelligence. If they have other powers or other abilities that go into their core factors, then I will include that in there and explain why to those of you that won't know. So if a character moves at the speed of fucking light, then that's obviously not a core factor, it's some type of ability or some type of power, because that's just fucking crazy. And to start this battle off, we're going to start off with Shiro from Dead Man Wonderland.
Mimi. 死にたいなら私が殺してあげる
Shiro, the Wretched Egg, the original sin, the first dead man. Before I can actually touch on Shiro, I want to explain what dead men are. And what dead men are essentially people that can control the blood in their bodies. What they can do with their blood usually does depend on the branch of sin that they are given. Some people can create fire, some people can create blades, and some people just shoot the blood out of their hands. It usually depends. How this blood is accessed is really simple, just a cut in the body. It can be self-inflicted or it can be because of battle as well. As long as they're bleeding, they can use their blood. As long as they run out of blood, they're all good. Now that I kind of explained what dead men are from all the information that I was given through the manga, I'm going to explain a little bit more about Shiro. Taken as a baby, Shiro was taken to a lab where she was experimented on, and the experiments were torturous. So much torture and so much pain was brought to the young Shiro that she finally snapped one day.
レチッドエッグ見捨てられた卵なんだよ
And she became the Wretched Egg. So getting into Shiro, I'm going to start off with her speed. Shiro seems to be rather fast in her base, or at least in her non-Wretched Egg form. For this battle's sake, we're just going to say that she's consistently in her Wretched Egg form. Since Shiro and the Wretched Egg are the same person, Shiro just compresses a certain form around Ganta and other people. And that's actually going to be the same case for Lucy and Yu as well. They're the same person, so we're just going to say that she's just Lucy. Shiro is very, very fast. In her non-Wretched Egg form, if you want to say that, she is able to run really fast, able to dodge arrows, and be very evasive at the same time. But as the story progresses and you get more into the manga, you see that Shiro is even faster than that. She's able to dodge attacks at the speed of sound. As shown in the manga, Ganta can shoot his Ganta gun at the speed of sound, and Shiro is able to dodge that with ease. So you kind of see how fast Shiro can move. She can move at the speed of sound to dodge attacks, consecutively as well. It's not a one-time thing. She's very fluid with her movements, and it's impressive too. Not that much to say on Shiro's speed, I'm going to get more into her power. And this is going to be a little bit more deeper analysis because it's a lot to explain. Shiro, or the Wretched Egg, caused the Great Tokyo Earthquake. What this earthquake did was level 70% of Tokyo. That's a lot. That's a lot of power you have to have behind you to level 70% of Tokyo. To put that in perspective, Tokyo is about 845 square miles. That's a lot. Now imagine Shiro leveling 70% of that. Let's look into the numbers, shall we? Looking at the numbers, 70% is 592 square miles. Really 591.5, but we rounded up to 592. Now just imagine how big that landmass is. That's about triple the size of Seoul, double the size of New York, and almost the same size as the greater London area. But to put that into bigger perspective, in 1923, an earthquake hit Japan. And this earthquake was considered to be the Great Kanto Earthquake. This earthquake only leveled 12.6 square miles of Tokyo, and it was a 9.0 on the Richter scale. A 9.0 is considered to be one of the highest levels, actually no, it is the highest level for an earthquake to hit land. So to really put that in perspective, Shiro is fucking powerful. But even without using her branch of sin, Shiro has proven to be a really powerful person, being able to easily kick down metal and concrete walls like they're nothing, which is really scary because it really shows you how powerful Shiro really is. Moving on to intelligence, it's really not that much to say. Shiro is not really a dumb person. In her Shiro form, I'm going to call it Shiro. In her Shiro form, she's rather naive, a little bit childish. In her Wretched Egg form, she seems to be rather normal intelligence. And that's really it. Getting a little bit more into Shiro's branch of sin, it seems to be these hexagons. And what these hexagons are must be her blood taking form of these hexagons. What these hexagons can be able to do, well, her branch of sin, what it's able to do is to rip through almost anything. And seeing as these are the same hexagons that rip through 70% of Tokyo, is pretty fucking powerful. Another thing that Shiro can do is fly. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is due to her branch of sin, but she seems to be able to do it rather fluidly and mastering it to a great extent. Another thing to note is that Shiro can fire projectiles at the speed of sound. It is seen in her last fight at the end of the manga with Ganta, where she is firing projectiles to match Ganta's Ganta Beam, or Ganta Blast, or Ganta Gun. He named it after himself. It's weird. I don't know exactly what the original translation is, but Ganta's Ganta Gun is able to shoot at the speed of sound. And Shiro also seems to be able to make her branch of sin also shoot a blast at the speed of sound as well. But the big thing to note about Shiro's branch of sin is possibly her regenerative ability. This regenerative ability is almost instantaneous. Shiro has seemed to recover from broken bones, explosions, and even having chunks of her body ripped off and taken away from her, and her body would still grow back. Now, if you read a little bit more deep into the manga and you found out what chorus blocks are essentially pieces of Shiro that have been taken off of her body and formed into blocks. And there are dozens of these spread around Dead Man Wonderland. So you can take off chunks of Shiro and she'll be perfectly fine. She'll grow that part back. With that being said, there are a few ways you can probably defeat Shiro. That's 1, destroying her brain, so she can't use her Deadman abilities anymore, and 2, overheating her branch of sin. Overheating her branch of sin is something that seems a little bit impractical, and you have to survive Shiro to get her to do that and push her to her limit. It definitely is possible, but it's something that will probably take a little bit of time to do, seeing as Shiro doesn't even use her full power unless she's really going all out. But anyway, that's just Shiro. Let's see how Lucy matches up to her. Moving on to our next character, we have Lucy from Elfen Lied. As I mentioned before, Niu and Lucy are kind of the same thing, but Niu is pretty non-existent within this, so we're just going to focus on Lucy. What Lucy is a Diclonius. What Diclonius is essentially a being that has horns in her head, but also has a set of invisible telekinetic arms called vectors. And that's kind of what vectors are. Vectors are a set of invisible arms, but they seem to be something that can phase through people, but also become physical as well. From what I've read on Wikipedia, it seems to be something with frequency and vibrations. Before getting into vectors, I want to get into Lucy's core traits. So let's start off with speed. With speed, there's not much to say about Lucy. She doesn't seem to be that fast all around. Her main means of defense, or just fighting in general, seems to be staying still and letting her vectors do most of the work. She'll move around from time to time, but not too much. Usually it'll just be to let her vectors move her so that she can evade something. Going into Lucy's strength, as a person herself, she doesn't seem to really be that strong, especially when someone like Kota is able to pin her down and stop her. However, Lucy's vectors are able to lift up things such as gravestones and other objects and toss them at very high velocities. How fast is really unsure, but it's enough to take down a fucking Apache helicopter. That's a lot of power to take down an Apache helicopter by tossing something. Lucy seems to be rather strong. With all of this power, vectors can't stop things that are too heavy. So if something is too heavy or is moving too fast, then her vectors won't be able to stop it. She does have enough power to rip a person's head off and rip body parts off of a person with ease, but other than that, nothing too major when it comes to her vectors and their power. However, moving on to Lucy's intelligence, I'd like to say that she is a rather smart and tactical fighter. One thing that is shown in her fight with Bando, even with her handicaps, she managed to stop Bando, and Bando is a trained military soldier. Very well trained, and Lucy seemed to outsmart and outmaneuver him, even with the handicap of her vectors being short at the time of only 2 meters. Also being able to learn languages at a really fast rate as well, when not knowing how to in her new form. So I'd say Lucy has somewhat above average intelligence. However, Lucy is also a little bit weak as well, so we're going to get into her weaknesses. Lucy's base body, her body herself, is frail, is very weak. If she gets damaged too much, then she cannot use her vectors. If you hit Lucy in the head too hard, then she becomes unable to use her vectors for a short period of time. That's enough to kill her. Another thing to note is that if you destroy Lucy's horns, you destroy her ability to use her vectors, which is a pretty big weakness, but you have to be able to get to her horns to get to them. Another thing I want to note is that Lucy cannot do anything with her vectors from what she cannot see. Vectors are a telekinetic thing, therefore it's connected to Lucy's brain. So Lucy needs to be able to see what she's attacking or she can't do anything with her vectors, and she'll start attacking wildly. And the final thing to note about Lucy is that she is a little bit playful when she's ahead. If she realizes that she is defeating an enemy, then she'll play with them instead of killing them all swiftly, which is a little bit of a bad thing because she's underestimating her opponent midway through a fight in which she could possibly lose it. This is the case with Bando, and this is the case with Nana. But with that being said, let's get into the results, or at least the outcome of this Weeaboo Deathmatch. And getting into the end results of this Weeaboo Deathmatch, the winner is... Shiro from Dead Man Wonderland. Now, I know what all the Elfen Lied fans are be thinking. How the hell can Shiro defeat Lucy? It's rather simple. Yes, Lucy's vectors are invisible. The simple fact that they are invisible means that she can destroy Shiro almost 100% of the time, right? Well, the same could be said for Shiro if she causes an earthquake or destroys the land around her, that she can destroy Lucy. Therefore, they both definitely do have the means of one-shotting each other, but if we're talking about a prolonged fight here, Shiro would win 100% of the time. So I'll kind of explain why, because this is probably the biggest part of the video, this outcome. Because a lot of people probably aren't going to be happy with this. Lucy isn't that powerful, or at least not on the same level as Shiro. Shiro has way more destructive power than Lucy. Lucy can't even get to Shiro's level without dying. If you read the manga, then you see that Lucy had went all out at the end of the series, in chapter 102. In this chapter, she probably went about a good 5 minutes at her full power. Her vectors had almost unlimited range, and she was able to destroy buildings, almost destroy an entire coastline. For Shiro, she can do that in her regular base wretched egg form without going all out using her full abilities. So it really puts into perspective that Shiro could defeat Lucy rather easily, as well as Lucy can defeat Shiro rather easily. Yes, Lucy's vectors are able to stop bullets, and they're also able to stop other things like missiles and gas. Shiro attacks her with the same destructive power that she used to destroy Tokyo, then Lucy has no chance. Also, in a prolonged fight, even if these two were fighting each other to a standstill, it's a simple fact that Lucy would not last 5 minutes. Trying to be generous and seeing how long Lucy actually lasted in the end of that chapter, I'd say she lasted about 5 minutes. In that time, yes, she did destroy warships. Yes, she did take out helicopters. She took out buildings, she killed people. But she only did that in a short period of time. And 5 minutes is me being generous. It could have been way less than that. So Lucy isn't capable of doing what Shiro can do. Lucy can't last long against somebody like Shiro that has so much destructive power. I know what people were thinking. Oh, Lucy can just run her hand through Shiro and give her an instant lobotomy. That is definitely possible if she manages to catch Shiro off guard. But the simple fact is that she uses that ability when her opponents are not moving and they're staying still. So if Shiro is moving about, she is very aware of the vectors and invading them, then she can definitely kill Lucy. Even Bondo was able to dodge Lucy's vectors in their final fight, and Bondo is a regular human, a human who was blind at that, and he was able to dodge the vectors. Yes, he may have had experience, but I believe if Shiro became aware of vectors and what they were, she would dodge them with ease and destroy Lucy. In most case scenarios, Lucy would not beat Shiro. There are some instances where Lucy would be able to take Shiro's head off and be able to one-shot her. There are some instances where she could also give her that instant lobotomy and take out her brain, but those are very far in between. The more practical outcome is going to be Shiro winning all the time. She has more power, she has regenerative ability, and she has more speed when it comes to Lucy. At the end of the day, Lucy is outclassed, and Shiro is the winner. For those of you that are sad about the outcome, I'm sorry, that's what I got for my analysis. Maybe you can correct me in the comments. And that was the battle, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I really won't be doing something like this often, so consider it to be a rare thing. But when I was looking up some of the information for this battle, and I was looking to see if this battle was done before on YouTube, it hasn't been, but I found the results for Lucy versus Juno Gasai from Mariniki. I'm like, Lucy would win 100% of the time, right? Because, you know, she's Declonius, therefore she would kill Yuno with ease. But what I found interesting is, like, Yuno as a character is very interesting. So I'm thinking I'm going to use Yuno for the next Weibo Deathmatch. So the first time I'm going to confirm who I'm going to be using, Yuno Gasai is going to be used for Mariniki. Who's she going to go up against? I have no idea. You guys can comment and tell me who you want to see, but me personally, I'm going to look into Revi from Black Lagoon and see if I can use her. Haven't read it yet, so it's a good excuse for me to actually go read it so I can actually get some research done and see what would be a nice outcome for this. Anyway guys, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for staying this far if you did. Arigato and jamatane.